By the way, this live thing is really cool.
And the class stays there in YouTube channel?
Yeah, everything's on YouTube on my YouTube channel.
Perfect.
Yeah, like you are now saying that. Okay. Go ahead, do the mandala.
Sashi Puki Yukshin
Ektopram Viravning Shirnendeken Bhavi Sange Shindu Mikte Urvari Chokun Namda
Shila Drupa
Pasho
Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamiryatayami Sange Shudam Sukhi Shoknam La Yanshu Vardu Dagni Kapsushi Taki Chinyengi Petsonam Rola Penchil Sange Drupashu Sange Shudam Sukhi Shoknam Yanshu Bardu Dagni Kyapsushi Tanaki Shinye Pesanam Ki Rola Penchil Sange Drupacho Sange Shudam Sukhi Shognam La Yanshu Bardu Dagni Kyapsushi Rola
Show. So wait, is someone recording the Spanish channel? Berta is okay. Good. All right. Cool. Just making sure. Okay.
Can I give an announcement?
What's that?
Can I give an announcement?
Yeah, go ahead.
A todos los que hablan español y quieran escuchar esta clase traducida al español, está Berta Velasco traduciendo simultáneamente al español, llevando un clic a un circulito abajo del Zoom que dice interpretación y ahí les va a dar la opción de español para que la pongan. Gracias.
Yeah. Ponga este círculo azul. Okay, gracias, Pao. All right, so this is the time in our show where we do our quiz, okay? Remember, you're all going to do your homework, right?
Sí.
A certain nun, which you probably know, insisted that I make sure you do your homework. So just do it. Okay. If you aren't going to do the quiz, avert your gaze, look away so you don't get the answers or the questions. Okay? All right. So here we go. Ready? Okay. Oops. Wrong quiz 2, right? I did it again. There you go. Examen 2. Okay, how we doing?
We need a couple of minutes more, please.
Okay, a couple of minutes.
Are there only 3 questions for the quiz?
Yeah, this is the only 3.
Thank you.
Hold on. Okay. So we're gonna end the quiz. If you need to finish, you can just finish after class if you're like close or something. It's okay. All right. So we're gonna start today's class, class 3. I am aware. Is Hasso here? I thought he came on. Hold on. Make sure. Maybe he left. He was like, it's Friday. Well, Hasso had a question. I don't think he's here. So I'm not going to answer it. Haha. Okay, good. That was easy. Does anybody else have a quick question before we start? No. Okay. Fine with me. Okay. So I'm gonna use the class notes today because I followed along with them for today's class, and they're quite thorough, and they'll be easier to look at than my notes. Note that the Tibetan spelling is in pronunciation, not in not transliteration. So any Tibetan in here is not spelled correctly. Okay, it's just pronounced. All right. Okay, so today's class is actually an incredible class. I've listened to these courses a bunch, but I haven't listened in a while, so I forget everything that's in each course. So today's class is I don't know, it could be the most important subject as far as the emptiness side of things, of the whole 18 ACI courses. So I believe it comes as well in ACI course 6, Diamond Cutter Sutra. So I guess I'll put some topics in more than once because they're important and relevant to whatever subject that course is about. Hold on. All right. Okay, so today's subject, along with formal logic, which we'll do some of, and debate, which we'll do some of, is about chichejak. Say chi, chejak. Chichejak. Who's that, Leah? How many courses you taken, Leah?
What do you mean? Until now or right now?
Aren't you taking another 1 to 3 joules?
I am. I'm taking the Tuesday, Thursday. Yeah. I don't think I'm the only one on this call that's taking the Tuesday, Thursday one too.
Oh, it's Tuesday, Thursday? That means anyone can take both, right?
Yeah. I think Christina is taking both.
Oh, good for y'all. They say practice the Dharma like your hair's on fire. So you guys are about there. So today's subject is chichejak, and maybe I should show you how that's spelled. I don't know why I want to. Probably because I'm just a nerd. It's probably my dictionary. How many people are in class today? It was like half. I already lost half the people. That's okay. I'm finishing my homework. If it's just me and Pal at the end, that's okay. We'll finish our homework, right, Pal? Anyway, it's good seeds to get exposed to this stuff. Even if you don't go all the way, you'll still get exposure. And they don't have it as one term in my dictionary. Oh, yes, they do. Oh, I was spelling it wrong. I don't know. I'll show you. I don't know why. I know you don't care. Okay, here it is. This is the Tibetan spelling, okay? Chi. When you put P and Y together, payata becomes cha, payata cha. And then giku, chi. Right, Paul?
Right.
Okay. And then payata becomes cha, dengbu, che. And then pa ratat, tra, ka, tra. Okay? Chichejak. Chi means like, usually it means in general, as opposed to specific, okay? And here, chejak usually means like a detail or a specific part of, or a characteristic, okay? Very famous in Chejak Mawa, the detailists, right? That's one of the Abhidharma schools of Buddhism. Okay, that was your little Tibetan seed. Don't worry about that. If that's confusing to you, forget it ever happened, all right? Okay, Chichejak. So, all right. So basically the whole point of these courses, this is sutra. They call this shared teachings, okay? As opposed to tantra. The way that Lord Tsongkhapa taught Buddhism, he taught it from the sutras, from the classical teachings, from the Buddha as best he could, which was very good because he was like a Buddha himself or something. Even if he wasn't a Buddha, he was beyond genius. I mean, some of these things, I'm translating a Jason Kappa book right now. I don't know how that happened, but it happened. And this book it's crazy. The level of thinking, and I took philosophy, and I have a degree in philosophy, so I studied mostly European masters like Kant, Descartes, and others, John Locke, these different masters of philosophy. But this stuff, I don't know. There's nothing like it I've ever seen on earth. Nothing. And if even people have the concepts, no one explains it even close to Jason Kappa. I mean, it's like the difference between like me and LeBron James playing basketball or something. Like, yeah, I can shoot towards the hoop. You know, I even might get one in, but he's dunking from the free throw line, you know, and like winning his 4th title and everything. So it's like that. It's beyond. It's like, and our teacher, Geshe Michael Roach, I don't know who he is, you know, but he seems to be the perfect embodiment of these teachings, which is, I guess, my good karma, right? Or yours if you see it that way. So not only do we have an amazing tradition with an amazing lineage, but we have a teacher in our times that speaks my language. I don't know about yours. The karma is insane. It's beyond. And these concepts and how they're explained, some of them are very difficult because they're talking about the fundamental nature of reality, which we experience all day. But it's like explaining water to fish. They're like, what water? You know? What's water? You know? They're just in it all day and they've been in it their whole lives. So they can't even conceive of a world without water. And what about those fish? You know, those fish that like are not only in the ocean, but they're at the bottom of the ocean and they've never even seen light or something. We're like those fish. We're not like how do you say? Atún, right? We're not like the fish at the top of the ocean. We're the fish at the bottom of the ocean that never even saw a light. And someone comes along with who's the sun and tries to explain, you know, water and air and light to us, and we're like, you know, head explode. Okay, so it's an amazing tradition. And this subject and the point of this whole classes and sutra in general is to see the nature of reality for what it is directly. You know, I can teach you this class and hopefully I teach you the pen well, other examples about emptiness, and you can perceive it intellectually, right? You can be like, oh, wait, you mean my husband's not just grumpy? He's not just a blankety blank, you know? The reason he's mad every day is not because of Mexico City traffic. It's somehow connected to me? Me? Yeah. Not only is it somehow connected to you, it's exclusively connected to you, especially how you talk to your kids before you went to work that day, right? Okay. So it's cool to be like, oh wow, and to start to change your behavior. But they say if you see that directly in a deep state of meditation, which is apparently the only place you can see it, it's like sending a torpedo. It's like torpedoing a plane. It's still you can't torpedo a plane. Torpedoes are underwater. It's like sending a missile at a plane. Yeah, it's still in the air for a little bit, but it's only going one way. It's only going down, right? Like when you see emptiness directly, yeah, you're not a Buddha yet, but it's inevitable, you know, just like that plane that got hit with a missile. It's just going just like that, right? It might take a little while, 7 lifetimes, they say, or less. If you work hard, Tantra, you can do it in 1 life, okay? But yeah, 7 lifetimes or less. So the subject, which is the key to the key, right? Because what's our book called? Anybody name the book?
Pramana Vartika.
Yeah, that is the book. But what's the commentary to that book that we're studying?
The key of the machine of logic.
Yay! Who said that?
Me.
Wow, Victor. Good job. Yeah, exactly. So of those subjects in the book, because it's a dura, right? Collected topics. Of those subjects in the book, they say this subject is the main subject that you want to study if you want to see emptiness directly. That means in a deep state of meditation, you see the fundamental nature of reality. And then all kinds of amazing things happen, right? In English, we say all hell breaks loose, but in this case, all heaven breaks loose, okay? Meaning you meet Buddhas and you understand those things that they call the four truths of an Arya. You become an Arya, you become one of the three jewels, and you can never doubt the teachings again. Especially this teaching, because this is the teaching that got you there, okay? But, I don't know, just before you see emptiness directly, okay, you have a direct perception of dependent origination, okay? So emptiness is a negative thing. It's what's not there, okay? In the example of the pen, what's the thing that's not there until you show up?
El segundo marido que no existió, no existe y no existirá.
You're probably right. I couldn't understand you.
She said the second husband that doesn't exist, hasn't existed, that could never exist.
Okay, yeah, I was like, I heard segundo, and I was like, I was talking about a pen, talking about segundo. Okay, yeah. Sí, esposo, segunda. Or segundo esposo. Yeah, exactly. The second husband. In the case of the pen example, it's the penness. The thing that comes from you is the pen. So there's nothing there that is pen about the pen until you get there and pen it, okay? I hope Berta's doing okay in Spanish with that. Okay? La pluma, plumas, la pluma. Okay? And same thing for the dog. There's no juguete until the dog shows up. There's no chew toy until the dog shows up. Okay? So what's the emptiness of the pluma is the pluma. Okay? Because otherwise it's just cylinder, you know, black colored, tip, flat, smooth. Okay? But the direct perception of dependent origination is the fact that you give it its penness. Okay, so that's different. The fact that it's not a pen before you show up is its emptiness. The fact that it is a pen when you show up is its dependent origination. Okay? Origination depende? Dependente? I don't know. Something like that, right? Okay. It's
Originación dependiente.
Dependiente. Okay, cool. Gracias. So this subject is what helps you unlock that dependent origination. And so what we talk about today is how best, the most efficient way, apparently, to have the direct perception of dependent origination. Okay? Because what happens when you enter the room, right? After you and the dog left the room, you come back in, right? And it's a pen. And this comes from a seed in your mind opens as a picture of a pen that is cast on it, you know, placed on it. Tak is the word in Tibetan. It's placed on it, right? It's placed on cylinder, and you see a pen. You are forced to see a pen. Why are you forced to see a pen?
Because of everything that I've done regarding pens in the past.
Yes, because you gave a pen to somebody or gave them the tool to communicate or, you know, something like that. Exactly. There's kind of a joke because Mind Only School always talks about blue and blueness. And he's like, why do you see blue? He's like, I guess you gave blue in the past. I don't know. Don't ask me why how that works exactly. Anyway, so Chi Chejak. Okay. So Chi Chejak, Chi is usually, so there's two ways to translate this. You can translate it the basic way, which I don't know, if you do it that way, you'll see emptiness in like 10,000 years or something, I don't know. Or you can translate it the hard way, the deep way, which shows that you really understand the subject, but it's harder to understand. You have to think more about it. And then with that, you could see emptiness, I imagine, if you work hard in this life, okay? I mean, if you're already in this class on Friday night listening to me, you're extremely close to seeing emptiness directly. If this is what you choose to do with your Friday night, you're much closer than you think, okay? And I know you probably think, I'm not that close to seeing emptiness directly. I'm just a regular Mexicano, Mexicana. What do I know about emptiness? Trust me, okay? If in your heart you have love for Geshe Michael and you think being an Arya is the coolest thing you could be or something, you're really close, okay? It's like a million lifetimes worth of good seeds, okay? One time in Amatitan, Geshe Michael said to us, he said, if I told you the amount of good karma it took you to get here right now, he said your head would explode. And then he said, no, it literally would explode. Like you couldn't even compute, all right? So that's why you don't know how good you are, because you can't even compute. Okay, so chi, you can translate as general, or you can translate as quality. And I'll try to explain it as best I can. And then chejak means characteristic. So you can say general and specific or set and subset, but that does not do this subject justice, okay? I don't know if you ever took, I don't know, math class. We did sets and subsets, you know, like one is the number one is part of the set of whole numbers, right? One is a member of the group of whole numbers. Do you remember that from math class? Or integers. You don't want to be reminded of that, I know. But that's not going to get you to see emptiness directly fast. It's really not. And that's not what's really happening. So let's break it down. So there's several kinds of chis, okay? There's rikchi, tonchi, and tsokchi. There's also drachi, which I don't think Geshe put in the homework, but he does talk about it in the class quite a bit. All right, here we go. I was thinking about the best example to give you, and I once had this epiphany about this subject one day at work. For 3 years, I had this amazing job, because it was amazing because I could help people. It was great for my bodhicitta, because I really don't like people that much, but it was a retail job. So I had to talk to the public like all day. And I wasn't that happy about it, but I did it for 3 years. I worked in a Chinese herb shop, which was good for me. Except when people came in, then it was bad. But so it was great for my bodhicitta, but it was also good for my emptiness practice, because when people start yelling at you, you got to think about emptiness, okay? But one day this customer came in. I remember it very clearly. He was very angry at me after I talked to him, but that wasn't uncommon. He was, and he put $1 on the counter. You know, he's paying for something. And it just dawned on me. I was like, how do we know? We call it $1, right? Or pesos, right? Who's on the 500 peso? I know there's 2 now, but Diego Rivera, isn't he on the 500? 500. There's many, how many 500 pesos bills are there in the world? You know, there's probably, I don't know, there's thousands for sure. Maybe there's millions, right? But it's weird. Think about it. Even though there's millions of individual 500 peso bills in the world, you still call each one of those a 500 peso bill, right? And even though each of them is different, you can spend any one of them like you can spend a 500 peso bill. Right? So you're like, okay, I guess. And I told him this is $1, and he was very mad. He's like, who cares? Give me my change. And he left very mad. I was like, all right. But that's chichejak. Okay, rikchi. Rikchi means something here. I'll even follow the notes here. Rikchi is something that is Rik means class in Tibetan, or yeah, it means class or kind or something, or type. Not like class A class, but like tipo, right? So that's basically a group of something, but it's really a quality. Geshe uses the example of car. So this one, it gets very, very, very tricky. Okay. Tibetan and Sanskrit apparently do not really have an A or a the. But to try to talk about this without A or the is like impossible. It's already very hard. I can already see the look. I'm looking at Pal right now. She's like, okay, keep going, word. You lost me a pistol. But Geshe uses car, okay? So if you want to talk about set and subset, or general and specific, or group or member of the group, you can say, and this is how we're not going to translate it, but we'll start there. A group would be the group of things called cars, right? Because that's easy. So a member of that group would be, how do you say it in Spanish? Chevy. Un Chevy. A Chevy, right? So that's easy, right? There's a group of things called cars in the world, of which there's, I don't know, billions of individuals. And one of those things in that group is called a Chevy, right? It also could be a Ford or Volkswagen, or, you know, BMW, whatever. Okay? That's easy, right? Okay. That's not going to get you enlightened, though. So when we say car here, we don't mean a car. We don't mean the car, right? So you have these in Spanish, and we have it in English. They don't have it in Tibetan. So So un carro, right? El carro, okay? We're not saying either of those. We're saying carro, right? Okay, which is weird, right? Okay, so the ricci, right here it is in the pronunciation. Ric means class. The ricci is anything, any quality that can have a characteristic of that quality. Okay, so car has a characteristic called Chevy. And that sounds weird to you because Chevy wouldn't usually be a characteristic. But if you think about it, even I'm saying it, I'm like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Listen, you got to listen closely because this is actually really important. Too bad everyone else got bored and didn't want to come to class anymore. But I'm glad you guys made it to class. When we say car, we're talking about carness. And that's weird too. This is the reason this is all weird is because you do it all day, every day. Let me tell you something. You've never, ever, once in your whole entire life seen a car. And I can prove it. I can prove it in like 5 seconds. Pau, unmute your mic. We're gonna debate. You ready?
Sí.
Venga.
Lista. Okay, Pau. Car churchin. Let's talk about cars.
Mhm.
Okay. You don't know what a car is because you've never seen a car. Okay.
Mhm.
So you have two choices. You can say, of course I've seen a car, or just because I don't know what a car is doesn't mean I haven't seen a car. So
Mhm.
which one?
The first one.
Okay. So you're saying take cars, even though I have to remember what I said, right? Even though I've never seen one, I still know what a car is.
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay, she says, okay. Okay, so you're saying you know what a car is?
Yes. Correct.
Okay. Okay, so you know exactly what a car is.
Yes.
Okay, so even though you've never really seen a car, you know what a car is?
Yes.
So the way to know things is to not know them?
But why you're saying that I don't know what is a car?
We're getting there. So the way to first I have to beat you in debate. So the way to know things is to not know them.
The way to.
You
Can
said
you repeat that?
you said you never saw you don't know what a car is, but you still know what a car is. So the way to not know about cars is to not know cars. Correct?
No.
Kaylan, you already said that.
No, I choose the first one.
Okay, so now you're going back. So now you're like, oh no. No. So you're
Since the beginning, I choose the first one.
Okay, the first one was even though you've never seen a car, you still know what a car is.
No, oh, yes.
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
Because you agreed to that already. That's why I said it.
Oh,
Okay.
I was answering the.
I know. I confused you. We'll go back. We'll slow down too. Okay. Berta's probably getting a headache already.
I do have seen a car.
But that wasn't the question. That wasn't what we said.
Yeah, exact.
Okay. So now you're saying Okay, so kapabajong, you're saying, the first one, you're saying, nuh-uh. It's like, take cars. Just because I don't know what they are, I still know what it is. Yeah. Anyway, okay, we'll stop. But watch. Okay, unmute. We won't debate. I'll just ask you.
Why are you inferring that she doesn't know what it is?
I know we're getting there, Aldo.
Sensor.
That's why we debate. Okay.
Has a trick.
Of course. Okay, so Pal, I'll answer the questions. Easy. So you know what a car is, yes or no?
Sir? Yes.
Okay. So you've seen a car, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. And it's because you've seen a car, you know what a car is, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me, how many times have you seen a whole car?
No.
Whoa! Wait a second.
I mean, never like a whole complete car.
Oh, okay. So you've never seen a whole car, but you know what a car is?
Well, you say complete, like all his parts at the same time?
Of course,
No.
car.
Yes, I see a car when it comes a seat out of my mind.
So you've seen dependent origination directly?
In my yes.
You've seen it indirectly.
Not the process, but intellectually, yes.
Ooh. So you should teach this class. Okay, we'll stop. So that's the point, basically, is that we can't even see objects. We think we see objects, but A, you can never witness a whole object at the same time. And you say, so what, word? Who cares? Why does that matter? Well, if you can never see a whole object at the same time, how could you ever confirm that that object really is the thing that you're saying it is? And yet, at the same time, you can still use the object as if it was the thing you thought it was. Right? And then B, even when you're seeing the object you think you're seeing as the object you think you know it to be, you are never at any point seeing the object that you think it is in the way you think you are. Because to see an object, you have to see parts to an object. And to see parts to an object, your eyes and your mind, your attention, has to constantly move from part to part. And then those parts are put together as the object. And that process is what is called seeing objects. And if you talk to a good scientist, a good logician, they'll tell you that. They're like, oh, the brain doesn't see objects. The brain interprets sense perceptions and puts it together and calls it an object, right? And that's why you can have dementia or Alzheimer's or, certain kinds of like autism or something, where cognitively a person isn't able to put an object together as a thing, or they put it together as something completely different, right? All right. Okay, so Pal's never seen a car. And she admitted it. Took a while. So when we say carness, right? The rikchi of carness, right? Caro. What we are saying is the quality of caro, not car. Because think about this, if there is such a thing in your mind as car, then how could all this other stuff be cars too? Because only one thing could be the car. Everything else would have to be something different. How could you identify individual members of a group as having a quality which you call the whole group, if every member of the group is different by definition of being an individual? Just like pesos or everything else in existence, actually. Because the process by which you identify things is not happening from the thing. It's impossible. And there's many ways to prove it's impossible. I just went through 3. I just did the one where you're not seeing the whole thing. I just did the one where you're seeing the thing, but you're only seeing indications. And I just did the one where you can't have an individual of a group be the member of a whole group and represent a whole group and it be able to identify as the member of the group, which is Chiche Doc. Okay, I know you're like, what is he talking about? I never get to talk about this stuff. I just think about it all day. Okay, when I'm not thinking about TV shows and stuff. Okay, so here it is in the notes. The notes are pretty good. You should read them. If you can read English, I guess. But you have to think about it a lot. Okay, me personally, I've thought about it a lot, to be honest, quite a bit. I started thinking about it in high school, actually. I read George Orwell, 1984. And there's a quote in there: sanity is not statistical. Okay, it means just because you don't agree, just because everyone doesn't agree with you doesn't make you crazy, right? And that's basically Chiche Dog. So you have to think about it a lot, and then you have to serve people in Chinese herb shops, even if they're annoying, and do yoga. Okay, so that's Rikchi. So Dunchi, Dun is Tun. Where's Hasso? Is he in the class?
Hello, world.
Hasso,
Can you hear me?
I can hear a lot of you.
Oh,
It's echoing.
sorry, something's wrong. Good. Now I can hear you again.
Wait, whose name are you under? Oh, there you are.
Huh?
Oh, there you are. Hasso, what does Tun mean? Tun.
Turn?
Yeah.
Mental?
No, don't look at that.
Done? John? No, I don't know.
We did it all summer.
Done. But not done. I don't know.
Tun. It means
I'm gonna remember when you tell me.
It means object or meaning or goal. Like,
Oh yeah, goal. Like Dundrup.
yeah, the Buddha, right? Siddhartha.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just testing you. You failed, but that's okay. I still love you. Okay, Dunchi. So Dunchi is basically the mental image that comes out of the seed. Okay? And this is the thing you think is the object, but is not. And Geshe Michael has this famous story of making of a student, of a student that makes his Lama tea while studying Chiche Doc, apparently, or studying at that time. And then while he's making his Lama tea, sees the fact that the pot that the tea is being made in, or the water is being boiled in, is coming from an image in his mind. And that is the Dunchi. Okay? And you can see, if you think really hard, you can figure it out too. It's just parts. If you look at something and just kind of blank your mind, not in the sense of like go unconscious, but disallow your mind to have conceptual thoughts like that's a this and that's a that, and just be like, just actually consciously label things. You'll see it's just lines and shapes and colors, okay? And maybe it makes sounds and has smells and those other things too. The other senses, the other objects of the senses, the dun. Okay? But we're fish in water. All day, we're only seeing the front side of reality. There's no backside. We're like, you know, those old Westerns movies, and it looks like there's houses, but then you go into the house and it's really just a thin, it's just a one board thick house. There's no back to it.
Blazing Saddles.
Blazing Saddles. I happen to really like that movie. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So that's the dunchi. The dunchi is the image that comes out of the seeds in your mind that gives you the illusion of a reality that's outside, but is really being projected by you due to whatever you did in the past. Okay, but here's the what is the next question? An intelligent, not that you all aren't, Dharma student would ask.
How does that picture came into my mind?
Oh wait, I just explained that. What's the next question though? If the thing is being projected onto parts, what's the next question, Hassel?
How did I got those seeds?
That's the same thing you just said. No, what about the parts?
What about them?
Good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are projections too. But when you focus on the thing, when you focus on the penness is the projection. But if your mind switches and then starts focusing on the parts of the pen, then you have dunchis to the parts of the pen too. You have a dunchi of the left side of the pen, and then the left to the left side, and the right side to the left side. Like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, and then, but when do those stop? When do those projections stop?
When you get to the atom.
Oh, so atoms don't have sides?
Oh. Yeah, they do have sides.
If they didn't have sides, they couldn't exist because they wouldn't have width or depth or length.
Oh, wow. You mean
just one big atom?
Yeah.
Thanks, Abudi. Thanks, Hasso Budi. Yeah, exactly. It's all the way down. So it's just dunchis all the way down. Okay. Well, here's a great. Okay, cool. In the Sautrantica school, which is the school we're in for logic, I explained it last time. The meaning of Sautrantica just means sutrists. They have a different view about dunchis, and I'm not going to get into it deeply, partly because I can't, and partly because time. But when they talk about dunchi, they talk about it as it being the opposite of everything that it's not. Okay? And I'm not gonna get into it because your brain's already melting and you're like, but basically, they say you can only identify like something as a clock by eliminating everything else in the universe. So in your mind, really fast, you're like, well, it's not a table. It's not my wife. It's not a house. It must be a clock. And for any particular item, the first instance of that item, the dunchi of that, is not the second instant of the item. So that's how objects exist in the South Chantica school, apparently. And you don't really need to know that, but it's covered, and I just covered it. I'm moving on. Okay. So oh yeah, it's not in the homework here, but it's not in the notes, but there's another chi called the Dra chi, which is not talked about as much, but it's basically the chi that when you hear of something, like I've never been to Paraguay. I'm waiting for Barbara to invite me to go.
I will go on 75th.
I'm joking.
You can go with me.
Okay, gracias. Ascensión?
Yeah.
¿Vamos a Ascensión?
Vamos.
Ah. No, I'm joking. It's broma. But like,
I do not.
Okay, gracias. So, even though I haven't been to Paraguay, I've heard of it. So dra literally means sound. So drachi means the image you have in your mind of something before you've seen it. Okay, you just heard of it. And it's covered in the class, and so I just told you about it. Okay, and then the fourth chi is called sok chi, which actually from listening to class, I kind of finally figured out why it's important here, why it's taught here. Before it just felt like kind of thrown in, but I don't think it's thrown in now at all. I mean, none of it's really thrown in, it's just I couldn't figure out why. So Sokchi literally means, or Sok means collection, okay? And Chi again is general or quality. But Sokchi is the physical parts of something, like the collection of parts. And I was like, why is that important? Okay, Hasso, here's your chance to redeem yourself. Why do you think that's important?
What, the fact that stock is the accumulation of the parts?
Yeah,
What's the question?
how's that relevant here?
I think it is because even if you have all the parts of an object gathered together,
yeah,
but you still lacking something else,
yeah,
you are not gonna be able to recognize it as the object.
exactly. What's the thing you're lacking?
The mental image or the seed.
Yeah, the dunchi.
The dunchi.
Exactly, precisely. And I don't know if I just forgot I realized that or just got it here. I don't know. But yes, so the sokchi is the thing that the dunchi is put on, right? The parts of the pen or the parts of the pot that you're making tea for your llama for. Okay? So, but if you look at the sokchi and you break down any particular part, then you have different sokchis, right? You have the left part of the handle, the right part of the handle. The left part of the handle, the right side of the left part of the handle, right? Correct? Okay. I know it gets crazy. So those are the chis. And then as far as chichajak, so you can say something like car, or carness, and then the group or member of a car, or you can say something like a working thing. So last time we did ngupo, yupa, sheja, shelja, and so forth. So nupo is a working thing. And so a water pitcher or a vase or a car is a member of the group working thing. So a car is a characteristic of the group working things that do something, right? So cars have a quality of working thingness, right? Because they can do something. They appear to do things. Correct? All right, you got to think of all this stuff you're gonna have to think about, okay? Don't expect to get it in this class. I know it's hard. The brain hurts, it's Friday night. You're questioning your life right now. You're like, why am I here? I could have been at El Club. All right. So then there's 3 tests for Chichedak. And here they are. One is, here's the Tibetan. It's not spelled right, but it's an example. Kyu nupo yin. Nupo means working thing. Kyu means it, or literally it means like you. Yin is. Kyu nupo yin. Is the object a subset of the characteristic? Okay, so if cars are not a working thing, you cannot say car is a characteristic of the quality working thing. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna keep going here because I want to make sure we do all the homework. And the homework is all this stuff I'm saying now, okay? And then also, number 2 is that they share relationship to meaning to be one is to be the other, which is this Tibetan phrase, tak chik tu. Tak means the thing or self, chik means one, and tu is like the preposition. Anyway, so to be a car has to mean it is a working thing, okay? If you put, I don't know, empty space in there, you say, well, to be empty space is to be working things. Like, well, no, empty space doesn't change, so therefore you can't say that, okay? So that's the second one. Next Tibetan, you don't want to hear all that. And then lastly, for to be a chejak, for it to be a characteristic of that quality, there has to be more than one member of the group. Geshe says multiple in the class. The student here wrote many, which is what Tuhuma literally means. Meaning, you can't say like, if I say working thing, and I'm saying, oh, well, existing things that change, I don't know, changing things, I'll just say changing things then, right? Changing things that exist, I don't know, are a member of the group working thing, you can't say that because those are one and the same thing. So it can't be a characteristic of that group because it is the same group, okay? And the key word here is the Tibetan, it's shitunba, which means one thing which is both A and B, okay? All right, so it just means there's many members of that group and it is in that group. That's all. All right. Okay, so this is the first debate. I forgot last time to teach you how to start a debate, okay? Where's Aldo? Aldo likes to start arguments.
I'm here.
How you doing, man?
Awesome.
¿Qué onda?
Class. ¿Qué onda, carnal?
¿Qué onda, man? Okay, let me see. Oh yeah, so if I'm the attacker, which I usually am, right, Aldo?
Yep.
And Aldo's the defender. I would whisper in his ear, I would say, this is Tibetan, right? It's that you say, which means, hey man, let's talk about something, okay? D literally is it's actually a secret holy mantra, okay? But Geshe talks about in the class, and everyone knows this mantra. It's a mantra, it's a seed syllable of Manjushri, okay? If you want to get smarter in the monastery, they say you should go as many times as you can, okay? Because it helps you gain wisdom. Anyway, you say D, which is like, okay, we're gonna like think about stuff or something. Chitar means like which or how. It's like kind of a question. Churchen, like we're gonna talk about something, like let's talk about a subject, okay? And the subject we're gonna talk about is sound. Okay? So Aldo, let's talk about sound, okay?
Okay.
Okay, and I say in Tibetan it's dra chichen. Dra is the same as dra and drachi, sound. And so the reason this is important, because Tasso knows, this is like the most famous Buddhist debate. It's usually like the first one they talk about. Because like 2,500 years ago, when Buddhism was just starting in this era, this epoch, there was groups of non-Buddhists, right? In this case, I think it's the numerous, the Sankhya's, but don't quote me, that believe that Om, right? Like you say in the beginning of yoga class, like the universe started with Om, and it's still going today, and it will go forever. And that's the foundation of the universe. You might have heard about something like this in your yoga class or something, right? So this is like a Hindu like belief or non-Buddhist belief. And so the Buddhists are like, what? They're like, Om can't. They're like, let's talk about sound. You know, oh, they're like, oh, Om goes forever, really? Let's talk about Om, okay? Let's talk about sound. Dra chuchen, right? Dra is the sound, and chuchen is what you say to denote the subject of the debate, okay? So chu just means a thing. Chen means literally has here, but it just means we're gonna talk about it. Let's consider in more formal English. Okay, let's talk about sound. Mitakte. Okay, mitakte. Last week we talked about last class we talked tapa mitakpa, right? Mitakpa is incorrectly translated as
Impermanent.
Permanent. Right. Impermanent. Yeah, impermanent, right? It's sorry, yeah, totally. It's so it means changing, right? So let's talk about sound. Drachichen. Mitakte. Mitakte. A changing thing. Mutual. It is a changing thing. And then the reason why, Chebeche. Che in this case, this is not how you spell it in Tibetan. It's bayat. It's bayata cha sa che. B-Y-A-S. Che. It means made. Hecho. Porque es hecho. This is what this means, okay? Because it's made. So there has to be an understanding there. What's the understanding there? Anybody? If something's made,
It has a beginning.
It changes.
yeah, exactly. So you have to understand that. So if it has a beginning, it must have a
That's tricky.
and I know. Don't go there, Hasso. I'm muting you. Yeah, it has an end. Yeah. So therefore, Om isn't eternal. It doesn't go on forever. Okay, and that's the end of the debate. You're like, we beat you. Right? That's your first debate, okay? You don't really care though. We could go deeper, but then your head will explode. All right. So Okay, so that is the debate part of class. Okay, I'm moving through everything in the time we have, but we'll go over it again. We're going to do the homework together to make sure I didn't miss anything, and then we'll have questions. Okay, and so the formal logic for today's class, because remember, this is Dora, so each part of the Dora, which means collected topics, is giving you debates so to illustrate different logic subjects. Okay, so the logical subject, the formal logic that Geshe-la chose for this class is called similar cases, which in Tibetan is tunchok. This chok is the chok that means direction, not the chok that means supreme, if for those Tibetan nerds out there. So what this means is that it has a similar quality to what you're trying to prove. Okay, so right in our debate, made things is tunchok with what? If something's made, it must be what do you say? Cambiando?
Cambiante.
Cambiante, changing, right? So you have to understand that to understand the last debate. Those things are tunchok, okay? Changing things and made things are the same thing. Correct? That's it. That's all we're saying. Okay. And so ways that it could be dissimilar, mi tunchok. Mi means not in Tibetan when it doesn't mean human, okay? Mi tunchok. And it's weird. I was studying this subject, and then I was looking at my dictionary, which was open at the time, and the word I looked at was mituncho. It was very strange. I was like, whoa, that's of all the words in this 3,000 page dictionary. Okay. Anyway, weird stuff starts to happen if you study emptiness, okay? This is the opposite, dissimilar cases. Okay, so the thing couldn't be similar if it doesn't exist at all. Mepa, okay? Or that it, and you know, the classic examples in scripture, they say, oh, how long are the horns on a rabbit? Okay? How do you say horn? Cuervo? No. Cuerno? Cuerno.
Sí.
Cuerno de conejo. Wow, okay. Okay, that hurt a little bit. How long are the horns on a rabbit? Rabbits don't have horns, okay? So you can say, oh, well, they're a foot long or they're 2 feet, okay? So those sorts of things are dissimilar. You can't, they're dissimilar through, in this case, to our changing thing, right? Or if you use this to try to prove it, oh, take sound, it's a changing thing because it's like the horns on a rabbit. That wouldn't work, right? That wouldn't prove your case. And another dissimilar one is called Shempa. Shempa means other, okay? Shempa mitonchok is a thing that is, it's literally just means other, another thing, but what it refers to is a case that's too big. So take sound, it's a changing thing because everything in existence. And you're like, well, that doesn't help, right? Because it's not specific enough. Correct? It's too big a case. And then last thing, something that's the opposite of what you're trying to prove. You know, take sound, it's a changing thing because it's an unchanging thing. It's like, no, it's not an unchanging thing. That disproves, that does not prove what you're trying to say because you're saying the opposite of what you want to say. Correct? Okay, those are the 3 Matun jokes. And we did that. Okay, and now, if you're in a debate, so me and Pal did this a little bit earlier, and she did well, okay? With my tricky debate about her never seeing a car. And so, okay, Pal, you ready?
Okay.
Someone has to mute their everything. Okay, so take sound, Pal. Let's talk about sound.
Okay.
It's a changing thing because
Correct.
because the sky is blue.
No necessarily.
Right. So what do you say in Tibetan?
Yapa mayung.
Yapa mayung.
No, takmadru.
No.
Tak. What?
Yeah, take sound, because sound is a changing thing. You don't disagree with my assertion.
Right.
No.
My reason is wrong.
Your reason is not correct.
Yeah, my reason is incorrect. Right? If I said, but now here's the opposite. Take sound. Take sound. Take sound, it let me see the best way to do it. Take sound, it's an unchanging thing because it's made. What would you say to that? That's kapamajung because it is made. What you're saying is that just because sound is made, which it is, doesn't mean it's an unchanging thing. In the first example, even though sound is a changing thing, my reason didn't prove that, right? Okay. Okay, that's it. We'll look at the homework. Are there any questions? Hero, do you have a question?
I don't know, man. I'm very confused. Could you repeat your reason why it's Kappa Majung?
The statement. Can
The
you
statement,
repeat
yeah, the statement.
the whole statement?
The second statement?
Yes,
Yes.
please.
Take sound, it's an unchanging thing because it's made.
Because it's made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not necessarily all things that are made are unchanging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because it's made, it's not necessarily the case that it's unchanging. Right?
It's actually never the case.
It's never the case. Even though sound is made, doesn't mean it's unchanging.
So if 1 and 2 work, but the third one, your reason does not make any sense, that means it's tak madrup.
Yeah, if you're refuting the reason,
Yeah.
then you're saying tak madrup, but literally means your reason is wrong.
Yeah.
It's just saying your reasons aren't. Take Hero, he's a great musician, therefore he's Mexican.
I think that has a little bit something to do with it. No, that would be tak madrup, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Your reason is wrong. Okay, then if I say take Hero, he, hold on. Oh, take Hero, he does jujitsu. Therefore, he's a great musician.
Okay. Now, when 2 and 3 don't. That's wait. That's Takmadrup?
That's
No.
Takmadrup
Yeah.
again, no? Because Hero, he's a great musician.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's so Hero does jujitsu because
He's a
it's a great musician. Yeah, that's Takmadrup because the reason it's not doesn't make any sense, right?
But the reason is correct.
Yeah,
Well,
the reason is correct, but it's not. But that's not the reason why I do jujitsu.
yeah, not why you do it, why you're good at it.
Yeah. Not necessarily because he's a good musician. He practiced jiu-jitsu, right?
So that's Kiapa Majung then?
But
Consider Hero, he practices jiu-jitsu because he's a good musician. So that's Kiapa Mayung, because not necessarily because he's a good musician, he's gonna practice jiu-jitsu, right?
yes.
Okay.
That's a little bit more complicated.
Kiapa Mayung.
Yeah. Takmadrup sounds a little bit.
Okay.
That
Hopefully I got all that right. Oh yeah, you guys are supposed to be listening to class too. Geshe does it in the class for the sky is green or something. Okay, so we're just gonna go through the homework to make sure I got everything.
I have a thought. Can I share a thought?
Yes, share thought.
I'm just thinking, like as you and I'm sorry, what's the woman's name who was doing the first debates? What is her name? As you and Powell were debating about a car, and like, I've heard that debate, I've participated in it, but still there was a moment when my mind was blown. Like, oh my God, what do you mean? I've like never seen an entire car. But I'm just thinking about like in the age of information or misinformation, it's like maybe we get 10 pieces of information and then our mind fills in 1,000 or 10,000. It feels like slightly, I don't know, like it's feels like slightly less mind-blowing, like in more a way to sort of understand like how, information or misinformation is getting spread, because with like, 10 pieces of information, I'm filling in the back of the car, so many times.
Yeah, but you can take another step. You're always filling in the back of the car, regardless. Yeah, that's always been the case. I mean, this is the root of all politics. The reason that you can argue about a subject is because that subject, based on this, has no objective opinion. How you see the subject is strictly based upon your individual causes, your seeds, those things in your mind, your karma. And there is no objective reality that's outside of the one that you create. That is like the definition of emptiness and dependent origination. Inversely. Yeah, but it is a way to understand the political atmosphere, the informational atmosphere, and so forth, for sure.
I mean, when the Sautantrikas were I'm sorry, who's the author of this text? Is it Dharmakirti?
The original text is Dharmakirti. This text is Purvachok is the commentator. Yeah.
Yeah, so there were no cars, and then for ACI 13, the example of carness is so perfect, and that was written before everything that happened with the internet.
Yeah, it's true. Most of it, yeah. So yeah, and we always update. So just use whatever example is most relevant to your students. Good question. Thank you. Okay, make sure we go through all the homework. Let me reshare that screen. Okay. Okay, this is the part of class where you take your homework out and you fill in the answers as we go, right? Because you're gonna do all your homework and then you study it all weekend long because you have nothing more awesome than studying Chichejak all weekend to do. Okay, here we go. Rikchi is a general as far as types, otherwise known as a quality, defined as that existing thing that subsumes, that's like a fancy English word for takes in, right? The multiple things which are of its type. Classical example, knowable things, okay? Knowable things, or sheja, is a huge group by which, the biggest group, I guess, it's the group of which everything that's knowable is a chejak of the Rikchi knowable things. Okay. And then for Dunshi, this is the mental image. So this, when you think of Dunshi, it's probably the most important one as far as seeing dependent origination. They're all important, but this is the key one, the active one, I suppose. This is the thing that you put on the parts to make it what you see it as. So that element which is imputed to be the water pitcher. Okay? But which is not. Yeah. The image is not a water pitcher, but there's a whole argument that happens actually. It's just like, what's the difference between the image and the thing, you know? And I think the end of that debate is Madhyamika says there is no functional difference. There is no difference at all. Okay. We'll try. I'm just gonna read this out loud. That thing which appears to be the water pitcher to the conceptual state of mind, which is perceiving water pitcher, but which is, however, not the water pitcher. Okay, if your head didn't hurt already, now it really does. Okay, I've done my job. Oh yeah, and this is the thing, the South Chanchika school. The appearance to the second instant of a conceptual state of a mind, which is perceiving a water pitcher, of the opposite of all that is not the water pitcher of the second instant. Ugh.
Can I ask a question about the Tibetan?
Yes.
Why is there a naro on the da and not a shabju if it's pronounced dunchi?
Oh, how dare you ask me that, Leah? What does a na as a suffix letter do to a naro?
Oh, it makes it changes the pronunciation of the naro, of the shabju. Thank you. Or of the naro. Thank you.
To what?
To like an umlauted.
Yes, but why did Geshe not put an umlauted O here?
Because it's hard for because it's not like easy pronunciation. He wants it like for generally people to be able to pronounce the Tibetan.
Yes, perfect. Exactly.
Thank you.
So it's not dun, it's dun, 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 right? Third column, tunchi. Okay, good job. All right. And Sokchi, yeah, this is maybe the most basic, but also the most crucial. It's just the physical object itself, the thing you project the dunshi upon. Okay. Sokchi, sok. Sok means gathering. Okay. A gathering, the gathering. All right. Okay, why is the study of quality and characteristic vital? All right. Basically, because it shows you dependent origination and then leads to seeing emptiness directly. Okay. it is the key to seeing dependent origination directly, which will then, supposedly like 20 minutes later, you see emptiness directly, okay? So you gotta meditate a lot, you gotta study the subject a lot, you gotta serve somebody as if they were a Buddha in your life, and then serve everybody else as if they're Buddhas too. At least be really nice to them, okay? With emptiness in your mind as you do it. But we went in depth on that one, okay? So I'm not gonna do it all over again. Okay, I didn't talk about this. Can one thing be both a quality and a characteristic of a quality? One sec. Excuse me. Yes, so this is similar to, can one thing be both a set and a subset, right? So, yeah. Like if you talk about the set of countries, and then you talk about the subset of North American countries, and you talk about Mexico. So, North American countries could be either a set or a subset, right? Depending if it's fitting into the group or a characteristic of the quality of that group, okay? That's pretty simple. I didn't discuss it, but I don't think you need a lot of explanation on that. And these are the three criteria, which I did cover. And the example is for a working thing, okay? So this would change if it was a different example, right? So water pitcher, a characteristic of a quality working thing? Yes. A, it meets the first thing. It is a working thing. B, is to be a working thing. What's the relationship between working things and working things? I guess. Yeah, because it's NUPA. Yeah, it's automatically to be a working thing is to be a working thing, right? It shares a relationship with working things such that to be it is to automatically be a working thing. Woo! And then, is there a lot of different working things besides a water pitcher, besides a car? Yeah, there's billions and trillions of them. So there's more than one thing, Tuma, okay? Multiple things in that group. Excuse me, Tuma. Okay, this is all logic. Boop, boop, boop. Okay. Oh, I didn't talk about this. Uh-oh. Here we go. Here is sound. Sound is a changing thing, okay? Not in English, I would suspect in Spanish too, these quotes are crucial, these quotation marks. So we're not saying sound is a changing thing, right? We're not talking about the quality of sound being a changing thing here. We're saying the fact that sound is a changing thing. Okay? So is the fact that sound is a changing thing or an unchanging thing? Okay? And so you have to say that it's an unchanging thing. The fact that sound is a changing thing is itself unchanging. Right? Sound itself is a changing thing, which changes. But the fact that sound is a changing thing is an unchanging thing. Facts are unchanging. Okay, even if the thing it's talking about is changing. Okay? That will come up in debates. You have to be You have to be clear. You're talking about the fact of as opposed to the thing. That's what it's getting at. At least somewhat. And this we just talked about. I don't know if we need to go there again. I can see the eyes are glazing over. So similar cases would mean that, yeah, take sound, it's a changing thing because it's made, okay? Changing things and being made are similar, okay? Tuncho, a group of similar cases. And so it can prove it. So there you can make a connection in your mind. And then examples that would not prove that for a changing thing was the fact something that didn't exist at all, mepa, like cuerno de conejo, right? Okay. Or the similar things like everything that exists. I mean, other things, excuse me, everything that exists because it's too big of a group. All right. Or something that contradicts it, like an unchanging thing. Because unchanging thing is the opposite of changing thing. So these are examples of these mituns, these three kinds of contradictory. Okay, this one is gelwa mitun, which just means contradictory. You can't use a contradictory thing to prove something, although your boyfriend will try. Okay. Friday night. Still early, you can still go out. Well, don't catch Corona, okay? 13 more minutes. Any questions?
I have a question. Word.
Of course you do, Hasso.
Wait, sorry, my sound is missing. Okay. So you were explaining the different kinds of cheese, rack cheese, drag cheese, dun cheese. And I know there is another approach of the same topic with the Rangsen and Chitzen.
Yeah, I almost mentioned this, and you. That's South Trantica.
Meaning middle way?
No, what does South Trantica mean?
Sutrist.
Yeah.
But the whole course is Sutrist, no?
Yes. I mentioned Rangchen and Chitzen. That is their dunshi. Remember, that's the thing that it is not thing, which I've had explained to me. We've talked about it in Mixed Nuts. ACI classes talk about it at some point. I forget where. Can I explain it to you perfectly right now? No.
Some other time?
Maybe. Basically, the South Trantica school believes the way we identify things. So this is all about how you can ever identify something, right? Is by eliminating all the cases of what that thing is not. And then that is the only thing left is the thing that you're identifying as that thing. Geshe uses the example of clock when he teaches it. Like you learn a clock, as like the first clock you see, and your mom's like, that's a clock. You're like, okay, clock. And so when you look at something that is similar to that, you eliminate everything that's not that clock. It's not a clock until you reach clock. And that's the example is the Rangten, right? The thing you're looking at, and the Chitzen is the original clock that you saw, that your mom taught you.
Cool.
Oh my God, I did it.
Yay.
Hey. Okay. Oh yeah, and Hasso, you asked about the mind-only school and lower middle way question.
Yeah.
I forgot to answer it. I probably forgot on purpose. So there's some problems with that. So the question from last class that Hasso asked was, what's the difference between the mind-only school's view of emptiness and the lower middle way school of emptiness? And how come the lower middle way school of emptiness is considered higher than the mind-only school's view of emptiness, even though it appears like the mind-only school of view of emptiness doesn't believe in outside objects at all, which should be closer to higher middle way's view, and the lower middle way does believe in some kind of self-existent thing outside, and therefore should be lower than mind-only. Right, Hasso?
Correct.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, a certain sponsor of ours had the same exact argument, but I can't get into too deep because no one here knows what I'm talking about except maybe me and Tang Tang and a couple other people. But basically, there's different mind-only schools. I mean, if you hadn't noticed, I don't know if you noticed, maybe you didn't do course 15. If you did course 15, maybe you noticed the book I'm translating, which is a book on the mind-only school, which is called The Hardest Parts of the Mind-Only School by Jason Kappa. I don't know why I got this book. Probably because I'm too mind-only and too difficult for my Lama. I don't know. Or difficult for him. Nothing's too difficult for him. But anyway, the idea is that in course 15,
Ojos, mira hacia arriba, todas las cosas buenas que tiene la na 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 na. No te ayudo, yo te puedo ayudar.
That's more interesting than mind-only school. Okay. The lower middle way. Excuse me. In the course 15, when they talk about mind-only school, they talk about the three characteristics, which are Shendrup, Kuntak, and Yungdrup, right? Shenwang, Kuntak, and Yungdrup. This is a really long story, Hasso. I'm going to give you one more minute. I'm going to stop talking about it.
Yeah, no problem. Whenever you want.
Okay, basically, if you explain mind-only school from that perspective, when you talk about Kuntak, which is the merely labeled objects that the mind-only school believes in, they have 100% nature on the outside, okay? But for some reason, of which I don't know exactly, when Jason Kappa, because Jason Kappa wrote that book too, right? Chang'e Lekshe Ningpo. In our book that I'm translating now, apparently the mind-only school doesn't believe in outer objects at all. So I don't know how they can not believe in outer objects at all and believe in kuntaks, which are merely labeled outer objects that only change their name. And that's the problem, and that's why you don't know, you're wondering why is it lower or higher, because we're being presented with two different things that seem to be contradictory, and I haven't found out why exactly yet. Okay?
Yes, interesting.
Because I had the same question. I was wondering too.
Cool.
Okay, Hasso, your minute's
Thank
up.
you.
You're welcome. Any other less difficult questions? I'm joking. They can be difficult. I don't. Jason Kappa's School of Buddhism was all about. They just answer the hard ones. They just, in these debates, if you read the readings, which I know none of you are, if you ever read the readings, sometimes they just go, they'll say, they'll be like, la, and that means in colloquial Tibetan, le lapo. Le lapo means, es fácil, like that's too easy. You know, we're not even gonna talk about it. But sometimes, maybe it was too easy for them, but for you, you're like, wait, no, I don't understand. but they never explain it because for them, it's just like, that's not even hard enough to talk about. I'm not even gonna go there. And you're like, wait, I don't get it. So they don't even mention the easy stuff sometimes. Easy for them, right? Okay, but 5 more minutes of class. Nothing? No one? Uh-oh, Barbara. Let's see. Consider how the mind that is producing the seeds, how can it produce these seeds if they don't exist in an ultimate way? Right? How'd I do? I think that's what you're saying. That's a good question. But that's the same as saying just because your husband doesn't exist in the ultimate way doesn't mean you can't give him a hug. Take your husband. Esposo chuchen. Take your husband. No existen última. He doesn't exist ultimately. Pero todavía abrazo. You can abrazar. You can still give him a hug, right? So, I mean, that's the basic idea. I mean, just because things don't exist ultimately doesn't mean they don't work. Actually, because things don't exist ultimately means they can work. That's what Jason Coppa says in his famous poem, which is the basis of ACI Course 1, right? And which confuses many people. I think it's confused quite a few Buddhists over history because they think, oh, if things don't exist ultimately, then they can't exist at all, right? And that's called, I don't know, nihilismo, right? Nihilism. And then the opposite is like, well, if things, it's the opposite of eternalism. If things exist, they must exist self-existently, right? Meaning like, if I have a husband and I can kiss him, he has to be a husband from his own side. There's no way he could be coming from me. Or, but if he's coming from me, that means there's nothing out there at all. Right? So neither of those are right. So the seeds which exist in your mind to create things don't exist ultimately, but that doesn't mean they can't function as seeds. Wow, okay. When I said more hard questions, I was joking, okay? No, I don't care. Go ahead. Mas. We have 2 more minutes. We should use it. Nothing? It's Friday, you're tired, you worked all week? Okay. Fine. Pau. Lista. Unmute your mic. Okay, so Monday's class, next class, you have all weekend to study and do your meditations, okay? But we're already done class 3. Yay! 1/3 of the way. You ready, Pop?
Yes.
Okay.
Sashi Puki Yukshene Totram Riram Linshi Jinde Kempadi Sange Shindu Mikterurwargi Rogunamda Shingla Druparsho Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamiryatayami Kewati Kewoku Sunam Geshe Sok Sokshen Sunam Geshe Lejuwe Dampa Kunidro Parsho.
Yay.
Thank you so much for.
Okay, please, you're welcome. Please do your quiz. Please do your studying and your meditations over the weekend. Anything that you haven't done, just catch up on the weekend. And listen to Geshe Michael's version of the class. It's much better than mine. And it's all on the knowledgebase.com. And you're all awesome. Just finish the class, okay? I lost half of you already, so I don't know how it's gonna go next week.
Because it's Friday, that's it.
I know, but it's funnier if I say it my way. Okay. Muchísimas gracias.
Gracias, Words.
Sí.
Thank you very much. Will.
Gracias, feliz fin de